Welcome to 2Cents FC. I'm your host, Amobi Okugo, back again with my guy, L. Each week, we'll be talking with individuals from around the soccer world, learning about their stories and getting their filtered thoughts and opinions. This week, we're joined by designer, footballer, creative, Marcus Mo Bucks Hairston.
Peace.
How you feeling? We'll be getting to know all about Mo, his transition from footballer to designer, and everything in between. Mo Bucks is someone that I've been connected with, but I haven't had the chance to formally meet him. So excited to have him on the podcast, our show, and hear all about what you got going on. So first things first, 2 truths and a cap.
Yeah. Well, first up, Mo, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, appreciate you for having me. Likewise.
All right, for sure. So one thing that we do when we start every show, we play an icebreaker game called 2 truths and a cap. So this is a game where you'll tell us 3 facts about yourself. 2 will be true, 1 will be a lie. And Amobi and I have to guess what the lie is. So right now, Amobi's down bad in the standings. So hopefully, this will be a chance for him to get up. So whenever you're ready, go ahead.
I'm coming back.
So you said 2 truths and 1 lie.
Yeah.
Let me see. I guess I'll start as hamburgers is my favorite food. Barcelona probably be my top club, and my favorite brand would be Adidas.
Oh. Dang. I'm going Adidas as the cap.
Yeah, okay. I think I might go Adidas too. Just because I ain't really see you wear too much Adidas. You work for Saucony, so.
Yeah, I would probably say that's the cap. I actually had 2 caps. I just thought about it. Funny enough, I never had a hamburger too, so that could make it interesting.
Oh, what? You never had a hamburger before?
Ever in my life. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. It's funny as the conversation started whenever I meet anybody. I don't eat beef or pork. So steak is one of the ones that I literally just tried. Probably last year. It was with some of the homies in Miami, my Latin brothers, and they got on the grill and they, introduced it to me. I took a try. It's decent, but not my fave. But
before then, I had never had steak either. So I would say, yeah, hamburger I never touched. It's crazy. Okay.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So, yeah, because you're from Mississippi. So that's interesting.
Interesting story, yeah, man. And I probably wouldn't say ever. It could have been a situation. Maybe I tried it as a toddler and I didn't really respond to it that great. So since then, my parents just never fed it. Obviously they like it. My brother, he loves it, enjoys it, but it's just nothing, it never really been on my register. So since then, maybe 2, 3 years old, I haven't touched one. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. So yeah, let's get right into it. Obviously, I just asked, stated that you're from Mississippi, but not a lot of people play or on paper play soccer from Mississippi. So when did you fall in love with soccer? How did it come into your life?
Yeah, man, I think we have one of the most interesting stories in the States. I don't think I really fell in love with it until I reached maybe 10, 11. It's a little bit later, but I developed it and started playing early. So I started playing at 3. My brother started playing at 4. A lot of the guys that was within the organization, we really started playing around the same time. So early 90s is when we kicked it off. Granted, we wasn't that great until we developed, 10, 12 years later in the career. But it was a means to get us out the streets. It sort of came as opportunity for after school or program situation where our commissioner introduced it to it. He came from Nigeria. And, we all went to private school, New Hope Christian School. So after then, we were in school around 1:30, 2:30, and the commissioner just took us to a local park. And, I remember running around, picking up daisies, flowers here and there, but really had no knowledge about what soccer was. I remember he brought a lot of soccer balls out, giving us the opportunity, just kicking around, playing some dodgeball, kickball, whatever have you. And then around 3 or 4 years later is when the organization actually started. So it went from just private school organization to the club, which was Central Jackson Soccer Organization, acronym CJS. So, and we had probably 15 to 20 teams, men and women, throughout the entire club. Unfortunately, right now, maybe 2 teams left, 2 guy teams left, which we just put 1 guy, Colorado Rapids, Dion. Shout out to him. He just had his first training session with the men's team. So it was super interesting, man. Another cool, fact or features is, we had one of the all-black club, one of the primary all-black clubs in the United States for the maybe 8-9 years, and we didn't really notice it. That was a thing until maybe 2003 or 4, where we went to a tournament. I think it was in Georgia. Atlanta had a showcase there, if I'm not mistaken, and we saw a club to resemble, us exactly. So that was super, super thrilling and interesting, because we never had seen that many Black people, unless they were from the islands or foreign countries that sort of looked like us. And that team, if I'm not mistaken, was from Atlanta as well. And then later on, we found one that was in the Baltimore, D.C. area. So it was pretty cool, because we would go to certain tournaments, college showcases, Dallas Cup, Tampa Bay Showcase, Disney Showcase. And we would be like the only team there. But when we get to those elite tournaments, Nike Cup, things of that nature, Dallas Cup, we would see teams from Jamaica and South Africa and Brazil that would come through, and we would just stare at each other like, yo, those guys look like us. It's pretty sick. So, but we would get questions in the airport like, yo, you guys, what basketball team you play for? What football team? What high school? Granted, we had a soccer ball at our feet dribbling throughout the airport. We just have to let them know, like, now we just happen to play soccer. We're good at basketball, though. We could probably push your ass in football, but our passion was football at the time, soccer. So that's pretty much how it started. And, shout out to that experience for sure.
No, I love that you said that, because when you think about it, when you see like, young, Black men or women, you're immediately thinking AAU. But in your case, it's soccer. Do you think that camaraderie and that cohesiveness, as you guys were developing and growing older, helped you guys all stay in the sport?
Oh yeah, for sure. It was more one of those situations, more just a family-based thing. A lot of the individuals that didn't have a career within soccer, we still, family now, still cool. We still keep in contact. A lot of them married, family, kids, whatever the case is. But it definitely created a sense of camaraderie. We had each other's back on the field, off the field, if there was any issues within the cities or, anything like that. And I think that sort of resonated with a lot of us. So football has a tendency to do that. No matter the country you're from, the state you're from, you just keep those relationships that last literally forever. So.
Perfect. So did this like entice you guys to like learn more about soccer from the standpoint of like following teams on TV and like, all right, who came from Mississippi to go pro ahead of you guys? Because you guys kind of were doing it on your own.
Yeah, I think that developed again a little bit later. Once we formed, we had select teams, and then we sort of combined and condensed some of the better players from certain teams to one to try to make like a traveling team. At the time, we didn't have academies, in the early 90s, 2000, that came on later. And then once we noticed that we were just a lot more physical and physical capable and just talented than a lot of other organizations and teams within the state, we started to sort of take it a little bit more serious. Once we would go to tournaments and play, those teams that had more resources, or better coaches, or better facilities than us, like, Inter Black, Dallas FC, Solar FC, they had it structured from top to bottom. So they really just enticed us to really get on our A game. So, from then, we had better coaches that came around. They were attracted to the club, so we got a lot of coaches from like the islands, Trinidad, Cuba, Brazil. And I think that's pretty much, that sort of catered and helped our playing style, because we had a unique style, which we modeled after these guys. So somehow, we started to watch the World Cup and found key guys and teams that, we really wanted to play and resemble. Some of those teams were like Brazil, obviously, and, Jamaica and South Africa at the time, JJ Okocha, so Nigeria. So, we took that and ran with it, man. And I think that sort of helped develop us as the players. Yeah.
No, that's what it's all about. So can you talk about your journey? Because I know, we talked offline a little bit before we recorded, and, you still play a little bit, but, let people know, you used to do this thing for a little bit.
Yeah, man. A lot of people don't know until I get on the field. Even when I go and play pickup, whenever I move to a certain, city or so, I probably like the last one to get picked up. I don't speak too much. When I get on, then that's when they want to exchange info. Like, where'd you play? And the conversation starts, but which is cool. I get it. Yeah, man. Like I said, throughout club, I didn't really develop and grow until like maybe 12 or 13. I was always small. I was probably like 4'8", 5 foot max, all until like junior, senior year high school. So, I played my part. I was, string man, and came off the bench and gave my minutes. And once I actually started to grow a little bit height wise, I reached like 5'10", 5'11". The game just became a little bit easier. So, and I remember it specifically like going into my junior year high school. I don't know. I just was able to read the game a little bit better, and it just slowed down for me. And then just, really taking it serious, going to ODP camps and trying to get in regional pools, things of that nature, doing some personal training. I just really wanted to take my talent to the next level. So I think after junior year, high school, senior year, after the tournaments, and you getting knocks at the door and, letters sent to your house from all different universities that you grew up watching just because of basketball. I think one of my favorite schools, even to the day, was Chapel Hill. I didn't have a chance due to grades to get accepted full scholarship. My brother did. But my grades are pretty good. I did what I had to do. I think it was like 3.0, 3.2, kept it average, but my focus and my passion was obviously football. So having a good showcase at Disney and Dallas Cup landed me a few scholarships. I ended up taking a few visits, and I ended up getting sold University of Cincinnati, go Bearcats, 2006. So that's pretty much what really, drove me. But it was tough having to go away from home at an early age. I entered at like 16, turned 17 a little bit later on in the season, and coming top 100, players in the country at the time, according to stats and ratings, within like club soccer. My whole mission was like, I'm coming in, I'm going to start, I'm going to play, I'm going to the MLS a year, whatever the case is. And it didn't really happen like that. I had to pay my dues. I had guys a little bit seniority ahead of me that played a lot more. One specifically, shout out to my boy Koeman, Sarkodie, his brother. Brother Indiana, the whole nine. You guys probably know him, familiar with him. We played the same position. I actually got recruited as like a center mid, so not necessarily a 6 or 8. I was like a hybrid. I wasn't directly a 10, but I was super crafty. So, I got tucked in the middle, and I ended up getting converted to a winger later on in college. So since he recruited me as like a left and right mid, so Kwame was left-footed, so I had to, wait my turn. But, it worked out. I had a chance to get a few assists and some goals. And then what really hurt me was, I think it was 2006, I guest played because I was still like 16, 17 at the time. I went back and played with a local club, which is like 3 hours away from where I'm from. I think it was Tupelo FC. And they were at Disney, if I'm not mistaken. Went back and guest played with them and had a life-changing injury, tore my ACL. It was like 3-2 finals. If we would have won it, we'd have gone through. I remember going up for a header off a cross. Keeper came out, punched me, split this off, went crazy. And I came down and just landed, and I just felt the impact. I tried to walk it out, but I knew something wasn't there. I didn't have that structure and stability. And from then, they shipped me home immediately. Shout out to the university for paying for that. It got expensive. But that whole fall season, spring season was tough because, it was cold, it was snowing. I wasn't used to that, obviously. And having to walk around campus with crutches didn't do me well. So, I just stayed in the house, played FIFA, and was just like upset at the world for a while. And then from there, my grades started to drop, because I wasn't going to class. I was just so upset. And then they caused me to next year. I wasn't eligible, and I was still dealing with that injury. I was probably like 7 months in, getting almost back 100%, which I never got. And just had issues with the coach and staff, things of that nature. Played the season, and ended up going back home due to some other issues. And I went back home in 2007 or 8. Went back to a JUCO locally. I didn't play. I just went. My mission was to go get my grades back up, get healthy again, and and reach out to some clubs and universities that I could try it again. So that's pretty much what I did from like 2007, 8-ish. Had a few opportunities at Buffalo University, where we had some transfers from our university that went. UNLV had my guys at UAB, and at the time it was a little bit late in the season. They didn't have a lot of scholarship money, so I remember just being on social media, met this girl, shout out to Janet at the time. She would always post pictures of like the beaches and the vibes. I'm like, yo, where's she living? This is crazy. I need to get there. Long story short, she was in Miami. So I'm looking at every university in Miami. I'm looking at UM. I'm looking at D2 schools, Barry University, which they were super raw at the time. And I found out about FIU. And which, they're doing well right now. They're like number 12, 11 right now in college soccer. So shout out to the guy. It's funny enough because the head coach is Adrian. I actually went to go visit when he was playing in Coastal Carolina. So the fact that he's taking over that university and doing some good things, shout out to him for that. But I ended up committing there, man. At the time, coaches was Matias Asori and Munga Katebi, which is, I think he's on the club side of Inter Miami. They accepted me in open arms, and it was pretty dope, Like I said, the weather was amazing. The women were amazing. I had no worries. My grades were back up to par, and we was playing some good footy. It was a cool situation because the international fact was definitely new. Playing with guys that maybe 2 or 3 of them speak English. First language may have been Portuguese or Spanish or French, and I'm like 2 out of maybe the other 18 individuals that speaks English. You know what I mean? So it was dope. It was a cool experience, and I think from there that pretty much led to my growth. Had a few opportunities afterward with a few MLS teams. I went on travel with Portland Timbers in like 11, 12. And then I had preseason with FC Dallas. I had to get chosen for either one of those teams, and entered up a few combines. I went to MLS combine, but I didn't play. I was there with the year where Sean Johnson was there. He didn't play. He was a stud. He was just chilling in the back, watching like, I'm about to go first round. This is no biggie. So I was there, helped out there, and that really did something with me, with my confidence of, because I'm viewing it from the sideline like, yo, that should have been me. That could have been me. What am I doing wrong? And after then, entered a few more combines, and I did the whole PDF thing with a few teams, USL, went on a few trials, and I think my professional rank started around I went on trial with Atlanta Silverbacks. It was before the league collapsed, NASL, so I had a chance preseason with them, and I ended up staying around. And I think after I didn't get the full contract, or the contract just wasn't what I really wanted, that's when my career sort of began to pivot a little bit. I had to figure out, what I wanted to do. My mind, I just wanted to play footy, but, getting 22, 23 later on in the career, dealing with personal issues and family, and it's like, pushing you to go get an office job or whatever the case. It was tough, man. And it hurt me for like 2 years. I'm like, yo, it has to be a way out. So got an agent, was speaking to clubs over in Australia and parts of Asia, but nothing really worked out, and ended up getting a job, man. And I had no clue what I was doing, because the only job I had prior to was probably hustling at the crib with a referee. I can easily go, have my license then and go ref some high school and club games. But, I had to detach myself because I was still close to the game.
No, I feel you. That's a great discussion in terms of that transition for a lot of professional athletes. But what I want to ask you, for anyone that's listening, what advice would you have for someone that's going through that adversity of, the ups and downs of a young career, and, how to develop? Because you mentioned, it wasn't until your junior year of high school where you felt like it all came together. So
right.
I'm sure you're doing some different things to work on your development, and then any advice you have from how to handle adversity standpoint.
Yeah, man, just got to be consistent with it. It's not going to come overnight. Like I said, I didn't realize it till later in my career. But, I became consistent with my training, put my due diligence in as far as doing some personal things along the side to just to better myself as an individual as well as an athlete, and just surrounding yourself around the game, from watching it to being around, other, positive individuals, just sort of allows you to grow within the space. And I think that's what really happened with me. So, I would watch guys growing up that I just want to replicate or be like them off the field as well. And, that's pretty much what I did to resemble that. And then just finding your passion, man, outside of the sport, finding things that you like, that brings you joy outside of soccer, that you maybe, you can gain some interest to, and you're pretty decent at. And I think when I noticed that, I was into sneakers and fashion. I remember back in the day, guys like in high school, middle school, they would get dropped off at the mall, and the whole mission is you're going to get fly and get fresh. And that's where the girls were at. You know what I mean? Early 90s, 2000s, like, nah, parents would drop you off at like 5. You go to the mall, and you always walk over to the movies, and you're just trying to pick up some honeys. But me, I was small, was sort of aki at the time. So I'm like, nah, I'm chilling. I'm about to be on, the internet. So that's what happened. I was on the internet, NikeTalk.com, Uptown, Soul Collect, and I was learning about all the latest footwear. And, I was talking to guys I had, not known, besides, platonically over the internet. Celebs was on there, from Wale to, just other cats that was in the industry at the time. And only thing you knew was just this face behind the computer profile picture. But for me, that brought me joy, you know what I mean? And I learned and understood that it could have been something that transpired after my football career. And then later on, when I got older in life, I realized that it was, and that's pretty much what allowed me to sort of transition.
So you mentioned you got the office job. I'm assuming it wasn't in the fashion creative space.
Not at all.
How did you mesh this passion that you've been working on, and then you developing on the side into what you're doing now?
And that didn't come until later as well. And it goes back to that component, just being consistent with it and really just pushing it. I think my first job was an office job. It was at a recycling company. So I did the e-commerce. I was real savvy on the internet, super tech. So we essentially, my homeboy Corey and I, we worked in the front of the office and everything else was manual labor. So we had like contracts with the university and all the old products and whatever that we would consume and get. My job was just to sell it online. And I managed like Amazon, eBay, website, things of that nature. Did that for a year or so and it was cool. But then I just noticed myself getting bored with it. And the same jobs that happened, there on for the next 3 years, office job, e-commerce. I would be in there just making soccer balls out of paper, rubber bands, and start juggling in the office like, yo, this, I can't be doing this. So it paid a few bills for like 2 or 3 years, just and gave me that experience in the work industry, just to see it from a different lens. And then I think it was like 2014, 13 or 14 when I ended up moving to Atlanta with the Silverbacks. Didn't work out. I met an individual. I went to like a sneaker con, I think it was in Atlanta, and I met an individual who was there that I know from back home in high school. It was a chick. She had just moved. She was in the military and got relocated from like Alaska. And we had a booth. My guy, shout out to Alandis, has a cake brand. He used to play in UAB, went to Chicago Fire for a little bit. We were selling some of her merch, and she came to the booth and was like, yo, you Elmo, huh? And I was like, oh shit, what's up, Penny? Yeah. And I was like, yeah. So we connected, created a relationship. We didn't really know too many people in the city because we weren't from there. And she hit me with the ideas like, yo, you want to create a store? And I was like, hell yeah. I didn't have any like business sense behind it. I was just more like, I was into the space of fashion and art and sneakers. So I said, what the hell? So that was when I started to pivot. It was around like 2014. I think is when that happened, 13, 14. So me doing the side job and this coming to this opportunity, the way we started was before we opened up a brick and mortar in Atlanta, everything was through digital. So we had a digital website and we would just reach out on social media, up and coming underground brands that were surfacing, and we would wholesale them. And it was all through online, but it came to a point where the apartment complex was just full of inventory. We had nowhere to sleep, you know what I mean? So we would try to process orders and store inventory because we didn't have a storage space, and it just became too much. So we was like, yo, why not, source out and reach out to a realtor for some commercial space. And then I think the next year, like 14, 15 is when we went ahead and opened up a brick and mortar, which is cool. It was new to me, owning your own business, especially in the new like terrain, city of Atlanta. So, but I think that it allowed me to build those relationships along the way. A lot of key individuals that's doing, big things in the industry now, we still have that relationship today. And it transpired 6-7 years ago. So long story short, we did that for about 3-4 years. It was super amazing. The store was called Curated ATL Boutique. We were located on Peter Street, which if you're from the area, from the Atlanta, you know where it's at. It's in the Pinnacle area, neighborhoods, Castleberry Hill. People like Jeezy and Young Dro and, all these artists would come down, shoot music videos. My store was literally right beside when 2Cents did that Ugly Sweater campaign. He had a store literally right beside mine. So to see the city come out for that and just pass your store, it was an amazing feeling, man. So I got a chance to get that experience, meet a lot of celebrities, met Lil Uzi, Don Can, the list goes on, man. So getting to do that and go to the trade shows in Vegas, Magic, Long Beach, to actually meet the faces behind the brands, whether they've been like the owners or the buyers or the sellers, create some relationships, put in POs. I think that's what really just had me to see things from a different perspective. Like, yo, this is something I can see myself doing. So doing that a few years, being successful for, unfortunately led to demise. I had some internal issues business wise, and I ended up sold my portion of the company. The company ended up collapsing because whatever it couldn't sustain within the next year or so. And around that time, I think it was like 2016, I think the NASL had collapsed around those years, and it was independent leagues that was developing. One of them was ASL, was American Soccer League, and I ended up signing a contract in 2016 with Atlanta Futuro, and we ended up losing to Philadelphia Fury in the finals. But that was my last year playing on a high level. And then from then, sort of transitioned to my, retail industry with, top flight brands like Nike. So yeah, man, 2017 is when it all started. I had an opportunity with Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour within the same week they reached out. So 3 totally different positions, 3 locations. I think Under Armour, they wanted to relocate me to Denver at the time. And then they wanted to use me to transition over to the Netherlands because they wanted to build their space of the brand in foreign countries. So, and then Adidas was a territory sales rep in Orlando, and then Nike was this pro marketing position in Miami. Obviously, I took Miami. Yeah, like, I remember something. I got to get back there, yeah, whatever it takes, and it came.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing that, and they let me in 2017.
Nice. So at what point did free agent come along?
That was probably in like 2019, 2020.
And what's the inspiration behind that?
Yeah, man. It's interesting. It's something that I sort of, pulled in my brother in. He's not the guy. We're totally 2 different opposites. We like different things. He's good at soccer. I love soccer. I was decent at it. He doesn't love soccer. He's just really good at it.
And for context, tell the people who your brother is.
Oh yeah, shout out to Marley, man. Number 17 was interesting. That was my number growing up. Then Wright Phillips took the 90. He ended up going from 94 to 17, so he's holding it down. He's with Columbus Crew. I think it's his 8th season, if I'm not mistaken. First few seasons was with the Rapids. And then he ended up getting traded to a few teams, Dynamo under William Cabrera, and then Minnesota last year under Adrian, and now he's with Columbus Crew.
Yeah,
but
and he's
man, so he's doing this
season too. So shout out to
for sure
the young Hairston.
Yeah. So going back to your question, man, I think that didn't develop until like 2019. Prior to then, I was always just contracting, and assisting different other guys and homies with projects on the graphics standpoint, because that's what I got my degree in. It was minor in art history, and then I got my BA in fine arts. So that was something I was already knowledgeable with, and now I can make some residual with it. I was just taking projects left and right. So 2019, I always wanted to have my own clothing brand, and in general, I think that was a point I reached. Like, I really wanted to solely focus on that and stop really exert energy to so many different entities at the time and just really follow through with something. Even if it was just a passion project, occasionally I would just drop merch here and there, as you probably see. I have to be fueled or something that's relevant in the industry that's going on. But I think around 19 is what really just made me want to just go wholeheartedly within the brand. So free agent, was born. It's still, marinating, I'd say, but be expecting something soon. But it just, the concept was, I was just free from the shackles of different brands. That's when I left Nike pretty much. And I was wholeheartedly just devoting myself to so many different entities. I just wanted to, solely focus on this thing. So I was just free. That was the concept. As well as it was a play to athletes, man, just trying to find your passion outside of football. It's a lot of creative guys in this space, man. Shout out to my boy Warren Craval and a lot of other guys that I've done work with in the past. And I think I want to get to the point where I'm able to collab with other individuals that's similar as myself. And I think that's where a free agent sort of derived. The irony that I did play a sport at one time and I'm free from that. So it all has a lot of, hyperbole and creativeness behind the term.
No, yeah, that's how I think I first got connected with you from the work you did with free agent. I was like, yo, this stuff is sick. So, it's always about, showing your creative, insights and experiences and, not only you, but the others that do it. Like you said, Warren, who we had on the show a couple weeks back, that's what it's all about, especially, someone that has played soccer and then to show their, creativity from a Black space. That's the secret combo right there.
Word.
So with that being said, obviously fashion, sneakers, huge part of soccer culture. You're always tapped in on what's going on from a soccer culture standpoint. What have been your favorite brand soccer collabs to date?
It's interesting. I mean, it's been a few. Obviously Nike has the bag, so they can go out and reach out to whoever they want. Man, they're doing it right way from Liverpool collabs to other collabs within the last few years. They're doing it. But as far as independent brands, who's doing it? It's a lot of cool guys is doing it. I like LBF. They're doing some dope stuff right now. I actually spoke to him earlier. He posted he shot me a DM. But I like what he's doing. I like what Warren is doing. You know what I'm saying? I like independent brands like that that's within the space. I had a Zoom call recently with the guys at Saturdays for Football and Bumpy Pitch as well. So those are the type of guys that I like to surround myself around. Also, Rich, shout out to Rich and those guys over Kicks to the Pitch as well. I think just having that media and that outlet where you're able to cover the space, it just allows for more to be more engaging to individuals that may not be familiar with soccer. You just sort of building that resume and that portfolio where they may find something that's interesting about the sport, whether it be through products and fashion or or any other sort of realm of it. And I think these guys are doing it the right way, so I like to align myself within those guys for sure.
No, that's what it's all about.
Sure. Yeah, shout out to Boone too. It's the homie.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
That's the homie from.
What are your thoughts on like maybe like streetwear and soccer colliding? So you seen like Palace and Juventus did some capsule collections. Obviously PSG and Jordan Brand have a few collections together. Like, what are some of your favorites in that room?
Definitely JB. Yeah, for sure. Me being a sneaker enthusiast and, sneakerhead in the past, and just to see these lifestyle brands, a performance brand, sort of have partnerships within the soccer space is pretty much what I've been trying to do for the last 10, 15 years. So I think it's dope. I think it allows, like I said, more awareness to the game. You got individuals. And I remember specifically, I was at Wish Atlanta. It was a dope boutique. If you haven't been, check it out in Atlanta. It was an autograph signing. Wale was there. It was like 2010. And funny enough, we had the same fit on. And I approached him about that. We had a Barcelona jersey on, Ronaldinho, same jeans. And we both had on a pair of Yeezys. And I just thought that was hilarious. So, we took a picture. It was pretty cool. But for me to see that I just knew that it was an opportunity for the sport to grow and on a domestic scale, just through fashion. So having guys like that and, J. Cole and, Drake tapping in, I think it's just going to help the sport to grow and have sort of some longevity, to be honest.
No, most definitely.
So
Go ahead, El.
I was going to say, so shifting into, where you are now, like you're in marketing with Saucony Running. How did that role come about? And, how does working with these established brands influence, what you do with Free Agent?
Yeah, man. They came about top of the top this year around like January, February. I had applied to a few other corporate roles. And after COVID hit, everything got stalled and delayed. A lot of people got laid off. So that sort of messed up my dreams with the particular role that I was going for. So I was still in Miami, was looking for different outlets, started doing some personal work, did some stuff with Black Arrow in the past. Shout out to my boy Aaron Dolores with that. And then top of this year, Saucony just knocked on the door. They had a role in Pacific Northwest. Wasn't too knowledgeable about it. Didn't really know what Pacific Northwest was. I'm from the South, you feel me? So they told me, I did my research and I noticed it was over there on the other side of the world. And then I just took the chance, man. It's been a pretty good experience, man. Great company. They assisted with the relocation. And I think me coming into an underdog brand like Saucony has just allowed me to sort of grow within the brand itself, provide some new, fresh ideas. Just because it's one of the oldest brands in the world. I think they were established like the early 1800s or 1890, if I'm not mistaken, in that time period. But they've been a little bit stagnant within their mantras and some of the things that they wanted to do holistically as a brand. So I think to get new energy within that has allowed me to sort of assist with that process. So that's pretty much when it kicked off top of this year. So I've only been with this brand probably like maybe 7 months, 8 months now. I was working remotely for a few months prior to me transitioning to Portland, and now I'm over here. So it's been a good journey thus far.
So out of all the cities you've lived in, best pickup in terms of soccer? Because I know you guys do the off-season Mississippi pickups. He gives more fans, but you lived in Miami, now you're in the Pacific Northwest. So how would you rank them?
I think home, man. Like it's just cream of the crop, and we're all fighting for the title. Just to see guys you haven't seen in a while, especially the young guys are still doing it on a high level, and to see them develop from, when they were like 5 and 6, and we were training together and practicing together, to now seeing them on this scale has just been admirable, man. So me getting a chance to play against my brother or be on the same team with Marcus Epps and we're back home, it's always a sense of competitiveness because I can't let these young guys be, outshine me on the field. It's cameras around, it's chicks around. So I'm like, nah. And just performance-wise in general, man, these guys are elite. And I think me coming out this space in a small town like that, I think it was pretty cool because it just allowed for more eyes to sort of, be exhibited on this particular club. And I think more Black-owned cities and minority cities needs that love, because there's so many talented players that goes overlooked just because it's not a huge hub for, like the New Yorks and the LA. So I think that's pretty much what drove me to, partner up with Black Arrow, just to share those stories for more, individuals like myself. So I had to say, I had to rank it back at the crib, Mississippi for sure. And then next, Atlanta was quality. I played a lot at the Silverbacks Park, a lot of pickup leagues, Spanish league. And that's actually how I met Warren. I didn't know him prior to. It was just, saw an ad on Instagram. It was like, yo, top ballers, MLS is going to be at this park. And I'm like, man, I'm about to go. Like, yeah, I'm about to show these guys what's up. I don't play at high level no more, but I'm about to go see what's up. And me and Warren was playing against each other. And I remember battling. Now every time I got the ball, I'm going directly at him. And that's how that relationship started. He said, yo, you playing? I'm like, nah, not anymore. And from then, we just kept the relationship, since then. So I would have to say Atlanta, but Miami, obviously, with the Latin flair and the culture there is so rich. So it's literally football fields everywhere. Every block, every corner is futsal or some type of pickup space where you're able to go out there and play. And I think that's what we were lacking in Mississippi. Everything we had was the concrete jungle, just football and basketball fields, courts. Where Miami, they sort of renovated those spaces and turned it directly to soccer. So it was tit for tat, definitely Atlanta, Miami for sure. Next up, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So you coming up in Jackson, you have like Jackson State, and they have a pretty solid women's team. How important do you think like HBCU soccer is to kind of help and facilitate the growth of the game in the Black community?
Yeah, man, I think it's wholeheartedly, man. I agree with that, and I think it's important, man. Not necessarily just soccer, just in sports in general. I think we need more individuals like ourselves to go back and record back over there to those HBCUs, just because a lot of the times what the ideology is as an athlete, a top athlete, only thing that we know is we have to go D1 or PWI to end up making it to the next ranks, which sucks. When you look back into the early 70s and 80s, a lot of those guys from Jerry Rice and Dion, they went to HBCUs and they made it to the place they are right now. Unfortunately, a lot of those university doesn't sustain and have men's departments. Because if I got opportunity at Howard, but like I said, I was sold on this dream where I have to go to this PWI in order to make it, then I end up shooting it down. But I think if those conversations were to be had a little bit more regularly, and I think we could convert that and change that mentality behind it. So to have more individuals like myself to go back, and even if it's just doing a speakeasy or just to go back and have an introduction with the team itself and the coaching staff, I think that's important. Just to show that, it's important that we need to have these HBCUs conversations in order to bridge that gap for sure. So shout out to Dion for what he's doing right now with the football team. They're killing shit, if you guys haven't noticed.
Nah, they're doing
sure.
it. They're doing it heavy.
Word. So I'm excited to see what that's going to bring just to other HBCUs by itself.
Yeah. So let's jump into some rapid fire questions real quick. So dream collab for free agent. Like if you had an opportunity to collab with any brand, who would you collaborate with for free agent?
Ooh, that's interesting. 5 years ago, it'd probably been like a high-end brand. It'd probably been something like LV on a Virgil tip. But, and I like what he's doing for the culture. He's bridging that gap, super hybrid, which wasn't seen years ago. But I'm so street with it, man, that I have to keep it in that space. So maybe like, it's tough. It'd have to be with one of the guys, man. I had to keep it a buck. It had to be with like somebody like Evo and Warren, man. Yeah, like I can say support your own. Nike and Adidas, but like that's super cliche, So I like to see other individuals within that space to help grow together, man.
Nah, I love
for
that.
sure. I think that's
a great answer.
We have to get a 2Cents collab then. So next one, if you could be creative director for any brand outside of your own, what would it be?
Oh, off top, either Jordan Brand or New Balance for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm an advocate of Jordan. Obviously, I like him as an individual, his brand, his legacy, everything. So I like to align myself underneath the Jordan Brand umbrella. And New Balance, they're doing a lot of big things in the industry. It's one of those smaller brands also that, over the last few years, they didn't really get their just due. But now with the collabs that they're doing, Kawhi and Joe Freshka, shout out to my guy Joe from Chicago, I think it's awakening a lot of people to the brand itself. So I think I can go over there and turn it up.
All right, cool. I got 2 questions for rapid fire as well. 5-a-side, Mississippi edition. Who you picking? Who you rocking with?
Oh, off top, my brother, Marlon Hairston, Marcus Epps. I'm going to have to do Kellen Gully. I'm going to have to do, who's another guy? Ooh, you put me on the spot. It's crazy because I chose 3 guys that's from the 94 age group and not from my team. I'm going to have to say Ryan Epps, which is Marcus' older brother, which is interesting. A lot of people don't know about him, but he was the best player I've probably played with ever. Okay. He was probably the one that we looked besides Andrew Wright to go pro in Europe. Two dope individuals. Andrew Wright, you guys probably need to get him on there. Dope cat. He's in Texas right now. He's doing some stuff with the Dortmund Academy on the coaching staff, but he played at Wake Forest as well. And he was a super talented guy. At like 14, 13, they wanted to ship him overseas as a goalkeeper, but he hated playing goalkeeper, getting calls with the national team, everything. He was like 6'3" at the time. He just didn't like playing keeper. He ended up going to striker, right? And then he got picked up by Wake Forest as a striker. Had some professional realm after it, and now he's coaching staff over there in Dallas. So shout out to him. And then Ryan, which is Marcus' brother, ended up getting picked up at Bowling Green University. Had some ups and downs, and that was the extent of his career. But these guys, just watching them from, the early 90s, these guys were the first ones that I noticed with left foot, at 11 and 12, and seeing these guys ambidextrous at the time was crazy, just how technical they were and so involved with the games. I sort of wanted to be around these guys and sort of, modify my game based off that. So those definitely for sure, five homies. I think we can compete with anybody.
Perfect. I like that. I like that a lot. And then in terms of, all right, say you bring a USL team to Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first things you're doing in terms of building that fan culture, that brand culture, that identity?
Yeah, man, it's just going back to the drawing board, man, and instilling that richness in what we did as a youth, man. Going back to the individuals that we played alongside with and the families that supported us and let them know that, we have a professional team that's in the city now. Let's see if we can get that same support. I think it's always good to align so within a community atmosphere. And I think that's why a lot of people knew about us, even respected us at the time. Because like you said, soccer in the city was unheard of, Only thing we had basketball or football. Other than that was a lot of the negative stereotypes that was attached to the city, even to that. So playing high school and middle school soccer, we made it cool to be Black and play soccer. We had the hood guys at the crib that had no clue about soccer playing, just off the strength, you know what I mean? And that was like our mission, like, we can make this thing cool. We have the power to do it. So really just, deep diving back into the community, man, getting those involved and building that culture and for the support. And then after that, migrating across the tracks and reaching out to the different pockets of the city.
No, I love that. I love that a lot. All right. What you got?
All right. So let's jump into one of our favorite segments of the show, No Card, Yellow Card, Red Card. So this is a rapid fire segment of the show where I will read off some news headlines. They can be soccer related, any type of sports related, pop culture, it doesn't matter. But we'll be rating these headlines using the soccer card system. So no card is, I'm cool with it or I agree with it. Yellow card is I'm indifferent. I can go either way. And red card is obviously, I disagree or I'm not cool with it. And you'll give a short explanation of why you gave it that card.
Let's do it.
So we're going to jump right in. Ronald Koeman is out at Barcelona. And word on the street is that Xavi will be taking the mantle as the next manager at Barca. So what card are we giving disappointment if it's true?
Ooh, that's rough. Considering Xavi, man, was one of my favorite midfielders all time, obviously behind Ronaldinho. He and the Yes man, the maestro. And I was actually reading articles this morning talking to my brother and the guys in the chat about it. It's tough because as much as I love him as a player and I want to say, no card, as much as success he had over in the Middle East, I think he still lack a little experience on that high level, especially now that the club is in shambles, that Messi's left and they're doing shitty right now. I'm going to have to say, just for the love of him, yellow card.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give it no card. I think if they were gonna do it, I know Javi had reservations of coming back to the job if like Messi was there because just like the power struggle. It's gonna be interesting to see what he does with like Busquets and Piqué and Jordi Alba, guys that you've played with, and then now you're gonna coach. I know that dynamic is a little bit weird. So for him to like win the locker room, I think they just got to give him time because it's
Yeah.
gonna be like a rebuilding year. So it's gonna be tough. Um, but I think if anyone could do it, especially with the way Barca, um, you know, loves Javi, I think it's a good decision just to like cool the tempers with what's going on right now with their season.
For sure.
All right, he'll definitely bring that pep style back to the team.
We'll see. I don't know. 'Cause, I mean,
Great.
that style is a little bit,
See if you got the personnel to
outdated.
do it though.
Yeah, those the wonder years right there.
Yeah.
All right, next up. So the USL Championship club Austin Bold will be folding at the end of the 2021 season, leaving Austin FC as the only pro soccer team in the city. So what card are we giving this news, like the news of Austin Bold folding?
Probably red card. It sucks to have any organization club to fall in general. A lot of the guys may or may not get picked up, so that can do a lot to your confidence and just overall career. So I would hate that to happen to anyone. Obviously, they want to focus on the MLS squad, and a lot of those guys may get picked up by the MLS team. But at the end of the day, like I said, it may be tough for some individuals to find their next career. So I'm gonna have to give it a red card.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm obviously connected with Austin Bulls, so I definitely would give it a red card just because, like you said, Marcus, it's unfortunate for some guys that may not have that opportunity to find a new club. So kind of unfortunate for them, but more so on the fact that Austin FC and Austin Bull couldn't work together in order to find a way to expand soccer in the Austin community. It's been great to see Austin FC and the fan support that they've got. But Austin is a big city, so if they can expand it and if the executive staff could have worked together, something could have happened. But business is business, so you move forward. That's how it goes.
And that's real.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. All right, so last one. Lil star Tim Weah announced his New Balance deal this week. So what card are we giving this move for him to a brand that's away from the typical Nike, Adidas, Puma? So what card are we giving Tim for his decision to go to New Balance?
Oh, it's no card for sure. I'm a fan of him, man. He's quality on the pitch and then his swag in general. I'm always seeing what he's doing. He and my boy Mosi King, a lot of those guys I connected with in the past. I like what he's doing, man. As a brand himself, he's really branding himself. So to align like with another dope brands doing good shit in the industry, MB, I think it makes sense. You feel me? He'd probably have a little more creative role and to call some shots, and it allowed him to sort of help continue that highlight of merging the gap between fashion and performance brand and soccer itself. So I think it's a good look. So we're going no card.
Yeah, I agree. No card. I think the marketing campaign for his announcement was really well done. And like Marcus said, he's like creating his own lane from a brand perspective. Like he's doing things his way, and I think New Balance has given young athletes that opportunity. So we'll see if that continues. And he doesn't want to have to compete with the Christian Pulisic's, the Tyler Adams, the Weston McKinney's for airtime when it comes to brand and New Balance. That he can create that lane, that pathway. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, shout out for that.
Yeah, speaking of brand, Tim plays for the U.S. national team. But one thing that we've always kind of discussed on this show is like who has the potential to be that LeBron figure for soccer in America. You know what I'm saying? Like every sport has their kind of GOAT for their marquee figure when it comes to marketing. Who has the potential to be that for soccer in America? Or who do you think?
I mean, I think for the most part, we all agree upon it. I like the way that in the direction that we're going in as a national team. It's been the youngest team we've ever had, the most technical and talented side we probably ever feel. The most brothers we had on the team, which I'm all in favor for. Whenever I see them on the side together, I'm like, hell yeah, we needed that. But just from a brand perspective, Pulisic, You know what I mean? He made that transition over there at a young age, and he solidified his spot amongst the greats. So I think as a whole, when you talk about U.S. national team, that's like one of the first guys that come to the mind, Christian Pulisic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Pulisic's like, yeah, in terms of like that, the American boy that they're gonna market, yeah, that's cool. But like in terms of like the culture, I still think we need that guy, and you need like as much as I don't want to say it, you need like that drama. Like, yo, like you talked about like living in Miami, like who's gonna be courtside with like a baddie?
Yeah, word.
You know, who's gonna, get in some drama with the media?
Yeah.
You don't have that in terms of soccer.
I think that's one thing that we're lacking for sure. But before then, they one of the guys that we spoke about that was highly ranked and rated, and everyone just loved was Freddie Adu. Good friend of mine as well. So I think there hasn't been a Freddie Adu in the last 15, 20 years, but I think closest just from a talent wise, it's Christian Poole. But if I had to go with it, I like the Tims, I like the Des, I like the West. Those guys that remind me of myself when I was younger, and it's good to see them being included in these topics of conversation. So,
Weston was dabbling for a minute when it comes to the bad boy role. That's probably the role he plays on the team. But
I like it, but
stay focused. You know what I'm saying?
It's still a little early, man. You don't want to mess up the bag, and
exactly. Don't mess up the bag, but there's a way to do it.
Yeah, get that money first, then we can get a little crazy.
Especially him being born here.
Yeah,
and then going over to Europe versus like somebody like Tim, or Serginho,
who
like grew up in Europe or grew up on that side of the world, and just playing on a national team, like somebody who's like homegrown. You'll see them in the off season here. You know what I'm saying? Like we need somebody like that who can be
like doing them Benzema type videos and stuff.
Word.
Yeah.
I'm a fan for all of that. I think the content is king, and like I said, it's just about understanding your clientele and just creating that image. We'll see who comes out. But shout out to Poole though, and shout out to the other guys.
No, facts.
But as a marketer, do you put that on the player or do you put that on the brand that they're with, or is it
a little bit of both? A lot of the players may not have that knowledge and that sense of creativity. Perfect example, my brother, he hates social media. I try to tell him every day you should brand yourself like that. College kids getting endorsements now. Like, yo, I'm like, if that was a thing when I was in college, I would be lit. 200K followers, all that. You know what I mean? But like, that's just not the space that he's in. He's focused on the game and just making a life for himself out through the career. So I think it goes hand in hand. Some of the players understanding that, but as well as like their PR team and their agent letting them know, like, yo, you can't play this game forever. So let's do something outside of the sport to help you get those endorsement deals that could get some, you can monetize this thing.
Yeah, sure. Hit the nail on the head right there.
Yep.
Yeah. So Mo Bucks, Marcus, how can people connect with you? We appreciate you taking the time. If they want to connect with you, if they want to follow Free Agent, some of the stuff that you got going on in the works.
Yeah, man. I will get my number out, but there's a lot of weirdos in the world. So we're going to do this. My direct email, you can hit me on my Saucony email, marcus.hairston@saucony.com. Again, it's marcus.hairston@saucony.com. Or just follow me on social. For the most part, everything is like mo.bucks, mo.bucks. Through there, you can find links directly to freeagent.us. Like I said, right now it's marinated under construction, but hopefully very soon you guys get a little sneak peek of what we got going on.
Nah, you heard it here first. Appreciate you for real.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I appreciate you guys bringing me on.
El, you got anything before I close this out?
Nah, go ahead.
All right. So thank you once again, Marcus, for getting on our show. It's a blessing, your unique story. We try to get these unique stories because anyone can get an athlete on here. Anyone can get, someone that's been on a podcast week after week. But, to hear your unique background, we really appreciate you. So that's our show for this week. Subscribe, rate, and review. It helps us get discovered. Follow us on all the socials at 2Cents FC. Check out our merch at 2centsports.shop. As you can see, Elle is rocking our fall cozy season collection. Make sure you check that out. And if you enjoyed the show, consider dropping us a donation using the link in the description. It helps support the show. It helps support the costs associated with the show. It helps us continue to get wonderful guests that you may not have heard about. And then tweet us your comments on the show and any topics you want me or Elle to discuss. That's it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you guys every Friday.
Peace.
Peace out.